Oh, crikey, everyone, what a night. Okay, let's do all the usual stuff we do when we're trying to...
It's not even started yet.
Oh, Coleman, we're live, you know. You know what? I'm not going to do this ever again. They've all been winding me up, pretending they can't hear me, then pretending their mics don't work. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. Welcome to the 60th Monday Musing. Yes, 60 of these, believe it or not. Possibly more, by the way, because I think there's at least 358 episodes. But besides that, tonight we are going to be talking pretty much all things Age of Sigmar tonight. Been talking about 40k for a while. Absolutely loving Gene Stealer Cult at the moment. So there's my wee little Kellamorph.
Nowhere near the camera there.
It was perfectly on the camera. So absolutely loving my Kellamorph. These guys, of course, are telling me that I'm not on camera, which of course I am. I'm just not on the same camera they're on. But that's another story. Coleman, your mic's crackling again. Oh dear. I think it's definitely Coleman. Yeah, that's getting really bad, Mr. Coleman.
Right, I'll drop out.
Hold on. No, it's better when you started talking. It stopped. I think it's if you're silent for too long. Can you just say beep every 60 seconds? I think your mic sort of sensitivity creeps up if you've not said anything for a while. So maybe that's all it is. I'm going to say hello to a few people in the chat. And then I'm going to say hello to this motley crew next to me. And we'll go from there, really. Right, okay, we've got Darth Fluffy saying, sup, Johnny Rockstar's in. Darth Fluffy's been working on Skaven from Carry On Empire. Love that Carry On Empire. I've been calling it that all week as well. Jack, you've been working on this little beastie. Is absolutely amazing, but you pretty much didn't need anything else from Carry On Empire, did you?
Needed the ghouls.
You needed the ghouls, but you
can't say no.
How many ghouls have you got so far?
We're 70 at the minute.
70 ghouls.
Take me up to 90.
Yeah, you always need more ghouls.
Always need more ghouls.
Al Kirkham is in there. Well, it's official. I now have a matching set of artificial knees. Surgery was moved up to 12th of February from the 20th of February. Still in pain, but coming along day at a time. Mr. Kirkham, as you know, will wish you all the best. It's good that you've now got both knees matching, and maybe we can stand at the side of a table together and play a game sometime. Coleman's in the chat, and he's also over there as well. Say beep, Coleman.
Beep.
Ralph as well, somewhere abouts.
Fondue.
You
can call me Sputnik for the evening.
Defimus Maximus is in there. Johnny Rockstar is in. Every time I heard David Guetta's song Titanium, I'll think of you all. Yeah, I don't know the reference to that, but thank you anyway. Titanium. I get it though. DJ the Lucky One, hi all. Amit says, hello my fellow nerds and nerdsettes. And Liam is in there saying, hi all. Tuning in from work. Good on you, Liam. I've sent you a message on Facebook. So I need to know whether you want this Skaven book and whether you're going to give me a game with it. DJ the Lucky One, beep, beep. Everybody's beeping. I know we'll be talking AOS, but who's going to buy 50 Cluxus Assassins? I'm assuming you're referring to the leaks that are out at the moment. Yeah, they're looking pretty mental, aren't they? So if anybody hasn't seen that, we might cover a bit of 40k before the end of tonight. Oh, Jared says, a knock on each knee from the Bad Moon. Oh, nice. From the Bad Moon? From the Bad Moon? I don't get the reference, though. Is there a reference at all?
I don't know.
I don't know. If there is, can you explain it? If there isn't, we'll take it anyway. 12 Knee says, have you looked at the up-and-coming previews from NYC Toy Fair? Yes, we have. Not on this show, but we had a good look at it. Jack was actually in New York at the time.
Didn't manage to.
I messaged him saying, get over to the Toy Fair. But, he was there on official business, so he had no time to get over to the Toy Fair, which is shocking.
Just work.
And Liam has got his list ready to paint and play. Ready to paint.
That means we're never going to have it then. If he has to paint it.
Well, you know what he's like. He'll paint a unit, get pickle, move on to another army. That's the way it goes, isn't it? So, we've had some quality issues tonight. Coleman, I'm going to need a beep.
Beep.
Thank you. That does work, doesn't it? That actually fixed your microphone. Mental. What else have I got on my desk? At the moment, we've got Flesh Eater Courts and Skaven over here, which we may have a quick look at. Jack's played a game for, which is in edit, and that's going to go on YouTube, that one, because there's one going on Premium later this evening as well, a Flesh Eater Courts game on Premium, but there's one going on to YouTube next week. But maybe that's a good place to start. It should explain. We received both the Skaven and Flesh Eater Courts Battletome from the wonderful people at GW, but unfortunately the entire family was on holiday. And
we all went on holiday the next day.
We all went on holiday in different countries and different parts of the world, and these incredible books essentially ended up on a shelf, unfortunately, of my next door neighbour, untouched and unloved. So the deadline came and went, and people know all about it now. But the good news is we'll still be using these wonderful Battletomes.
I've had a game
for battle reports.
Had a game with the new Battletome as well. Tried it. So
that is true. So
experience.
Maybe that's a good place to start. Let's start with a summary from Jack on the Flesh Eater Courts Battletome.
Yeah.
And maybe Coleman and Ralph, if you have any questions to fire at Jack, because of course he's all things in authority when it comes to Flesh Eater Courts. So if you're interested what he's going to be like to play against, then fire away. If anyone has any questions in the chat, fire away as well. Everybody's getting into the beep beep in the chat as well. This is going to be a thing. We've invented a new thing for the internet. Beep. Okay, Jack, Flesh Eater Courts, what was your impression?
Wow, it's been a lot of change. Wow, I'll say a lot of changes, sure. So there's been a lot of changes. It's got the new format of the Battletomes, so new relics for different categories as well. So you've got your abhorrent relics and your courtier relics, as well as command traits. Got a new, I think it's the new spells. I forgot what they're called. They're called like the spells of the law of madness, I think they're called. So you've got some interesting things on there. Ones that I've found interesting on there is number 6. Number 6, Blood Feast, was quite good. So that
Beep,
is...
please, Coleman. Beep.
Beep.
Thank you. I can't believe that actually works, but we're good.
So Blood Feast I found interesting. That is kind of like a D3 mortal wound, but then it heals you, kind of a very vampiric spell. There's this one, Monstrous Vitality, which, if you know about the new courts, Gristlegore is a new big one, taking Terrorgeist and Zombie Dragons' battle line. That one's going to be very helpful because it allows a monster to act on its top bracket, so probably be more useful for Zombie Dragons because of its talons and how much it decreases, but still very good for the Terrorgeist and its Scream. So some new good madness traits. New scenery, the Charnel Throne, that's really cool. Gives you extra bravery, allows you to use command abilities for free. I'm trying to think what else from there. I think the delusions, of course, and that juicy new command ability, Feeding Frenzy, which is absolutely ridiculous, allowing you to fight immediately after you fought, which is beautiful. And then one of the delusions allowing you to do it for free once per turn, which is insane. That's once per turn, one of your units fighting twice, no matter what, which is very good. That's common.
Yeah.
So it's very good. I'm trying to think what else. Rules changes. There's not really much rules changes on the actual stats, is there? I mean,
so let's talk a little bit about some of the things you've mentioned them in brief, but let's talk a little bit about them. Let's start with maybe the when we go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start what I think has had the least response from you, the endless spells.
Yeah.
Let's have a little bit of chat about this.
So there's some decent ones. The chalice is good. It brings back models, so that's powerful. You've got the horse stampede, which is cool. It can give mortal wounds. And the barricade kind of like, blocks movements and halves movements around it. But again, it was kind of like I'm saying, you're having to pay points for these spells. And I kind of think they would be more of an afterthought than anything. I mean, I know the Chalice has had a big response because it's got that kind of like you count up the amount of models around it that die, and then it brings back those models to units on 4-ups, which is very, very, very powerful. If you kind of like, big unit of 30 ghouls go in there and say 20 of them die, you're on average getting 10 of them back, which is good. But apart from the Chalice, I don't see the other ones being used as much. They're kind of more of an afterthought than anything. If I've got a 1940 point list and I'm trying to do 2000, so I'll stick one of the spells in there to make up points because I'm not getting a command point from it.
So let's jump on then to maybe the good then. Let's talk about the battle report. Obviously, don't want to give away the ending.
Yeah, I don't want to give away the ending. But
talk us through your list. This was what, a 2,000 point game?
Yeah, it was a 2,000 point game, and unfortunately, I didn't have my Archregent at the time because I just didn't have the box, didn't have it painted or anything. So the Archregent, unfortunately, isn't in it. He's on my desk now. I'm probably going to paint him tomorrow, just get him done and get him out there. So hopefully we'll be able to do a game with him in soon, because I'm really looking forward to his stats. I mean, he's insane. I'll talk about him later, but everybody knows about him. He's kind of the star of the show. But no, my list was, so I had 2 dragons. Well, no, I had a Terrorgeist and a dragon, each with a king on. 2 units of 8 ghouls, a unit of 10 ghouls just to make battle line. A unit of 6 flayers and a flayer courtier, because flayers are insane. They are very, very good. They should all probably know their new mortal wound change, where it's in addition to damage, and their screams as well is very good. And they have had a point increase from 160 to 170, but courtiers have gone down by 20 points, all courtiers, so it kind of evened it out, which is nice. But yeah, so the list was I kind of wanted to try the flayers, I wanted to try the big units of ghouls, I wanted to try the big guys, and they worked well. Because you were manning the cameras, what did you think to it?
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. I saw the flayers. You're right. They were incredible in the game. They were just. We're talking
lots of wounds, lots of attacks.
We're talking an army that's taking on 2,000 points of solid Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
And you know that Sylvaneth have got staying power.
Yeah.
They've also, when they've got Alariel in there with the beetle, they can hit really hard.
Yeah.
So you got all of that going off, and then at the same time, these flayers were just absolutely moshing around the table. So it was impressive to see such a tough unit. And what was even more frightening was, I think, a couple of occasions they were down to 1 or 2 models.
Oh yeah, and then they all come back.
Vargulf just
the courtiers bringing the courtier on average brings back 2 models each.
Yeah.
Each
how many
time.
wounds? What are we
4
talking?
wounds each. So that's
4
8 wounds that come back on average, because it's 6 dice and 5 up bring back a model. So you're getting
that's
on average 2. Yeah, exactly. You're getting on average 8 wounds back, and there's a couple of times I rolled more, a couple of times I rolled less.
Watching the Sylvaneth player's face when you finally got these flayers down to 1 or 2 models, and of course Jack, when Jack rolls a D3, there's only one result ever. Oh, it's 3. That's what happens every time. So he's like, hey, 3 new models back.
Yeah.
Suddenly 12 wounds just returning to the table with a death scream, 10-inch range, dealing out the craziest of attacks.
Yeah, the mortal wounds.
So the death scream.
And
do you want to talk through it a little bit?
Yeah, the death scream's new. So it used to be each model could scream, and you roll D6 plus 1, and put it to the bravery, and however many points over, you would do that many mortal wounds. Now it's 2d6 against bravery, which is miles better. I mean, Sylvaneth Dryads have got bravery 6. A lot of things are kind of bravery 6, Bravery 5, these big units that the Flayers are very adept at killing because of their high number of attacks. So you're getting a lot of them. I mean, it is -2 to your roll if you are more than 3 inches away. So that is something to bear in mind. The Scream definitely worked so much better in combat because you're not getting that -2, which really hurts sometimes. I mean, I was getting like 3-4 mortal wounds per model, and I had a unit of 6 of them, which was insane. And another thing to remember is you kind of look at some of the stat lines and you're like, well, why is everybody saying they're overpowered? Like, crit flares, 4 attacks, cool. Like, yeah, you do mortal wounds and 6, but they're 4 attacks, when in reality they're not 4 attacks. Any stat line you look at, just double it, because that is what the possibility is. And when you're taking Feast Day and you're being able to do that every turn for free, that's insane. Like, there was Flayers with 8 attacks each in a unit of 6 of them. They're just pumping out so many attacks. And with the mortal wound on 6s, they're being able to accumulate so many mortal wounds that they're just sniping characters off, they're sniping monsters off. And they're fast, 12-inch range, so they're very powerful.
How much do they cost?
170 for 3. Yeah. And then when you're adding your Arch Regent and your Ghoul Kings and you're giving them an extra D3 attacks, I mean, they have the possibility of being 7 attacks each, doubled 14 attacks each, because Feeding Frenzy hits immediately.
So we get another power creep army, right?
Yeah.
You know, this is what it is, isn't it? I think it's... You say that. I mean, Flesh Eater Courts were early... They were an early release.
Yeah.
They were a little bit unloved. A bit like Fire Slayers.
Shut up.
So it's nice to see them get their Battletome and, you know... Power creep, they always move the meta forward. I've kind
of seen it, like people going like Flesh Eaters overpowered. What is going off? But then you kind of take time to look at other Battletomes. You look at Daughters of Cain, because I play Daughters of Cain. I don't have everybody based up at the minute, but I'm just waiting on bases before I can kind of play my list of them. But Daughters of Cain are still extremely powerful because you got to think ghouls get a lot of attacks, but they're 4s and 4s. You're halving and halving again, like, on average, their damage output. Whereas Daughters of Cain are 2s and 4s re-rolling with 4 attacks.
You know, the Sylvaneth moved through the ghouls. It was
Good. There are some times that a unit of 30 ghouls would go in there and they just bounce back because, like, they just don't have that much hitting power. I mean, again, one of the problems was, I think the Arch Regent is going to be a mainstay. He's 200 points, but in reality he's free because his command ability summons 20 ghouls, which is 200 points, so your Arch Regent's free, basically. So
Coleman beep.
Beep.
I'm starting to think about one thing here. With the Night Hunt first, and especially now that, does it mean, do you think, we're not going to be seeing Grandhouse of Nagash on the tables much?
What? Because I don't know.
It gets watered down by very powerful individual factions.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I still think Grand Host of Nagash is an extremely powerful army.
Yeah.
When you've got units of 40 skeletons not costing that much, and then they're attacking, then they're attacking again, and then all 40 are coming back to life for a command point.
I saw some incredible stuff at the doubles tournament with Nagash, and I think this is the thing about the whole idea of power creep. I don't think it's necessarily, there are, of course, in any meta you get these like premium armies. Yeah. And this just moves Flesh Eater Courts into the realms of competitiveness. If you ask me. That's because before. You played them, Jack would play Flesh Eater Courts really well, but he'd be absolutely on his game with his crazy lucky dice rolls, and he'd be competing. You know, I never got a thrashing from Flesh Eater Cause. You know, it was always if he got a win, he stole the win. You know, it was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now it feels like they'll compete. So that's, I think that's what I'm kind of hoping we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do with the armies, because I don't think Flesh Eaters are overpowered by any rights. I think there's a couple of things that probably need changing. Yeah. Like, you know, Feeding Frenzy activating immediately. I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see that change to become something like Von Hell's Dance Macabre, being able to pile in and attack twice. But it being an activation.
You activate,
yeah. I think that's probably what you're going to see FAQs.
Which feels a lot more sensible.
Because
the two attacks like that.
It's two attacks, one after each other. I mean, we were figuring out you're getting ghouls on 12 attacks each on a unit of 40. I
mean, you know, you're dismissing them for, you know, being just 4 up, but as pool KO players, that's our only battle line. That's what it does, and that's, you know, single attack in melee.
Yeah. So it is. True. You're right, but it's kind of like, you know, you got the whole thing when people are spouting off about them being now overpowered. I mean, even like players are saying they're overpowered. I don't think they are, because I mean, you've got, like, you know, the Idoneth Deepkin, the Grand Host, the Maggotkin, these armies.
But those are all excuse me, those are all fairly recent Battletomes.
Yeah.
But we've also got, you know, like the Seraphim and like like the KO, you know, the first gen Battletomes. Those armies pretty much. I mean, even if you play Stormcast prior to the Soul Wars, you know, if you're stuck with the 3+3+, one hitting battle lines. You don't stand a chance.
Wow. You mentioned Seraphim, and that's completely wrong, because Seraphim are an incredibly powerful army. Hi, I'm going to start with 1,000 points. I'm going to end with 3,000.
Yeah, okay. If you factor the summoning in, then you might be right there.
Which was good fun. Right, okay, I tell you what, let's, at that stage, we are 20 minutes in, so it seems a reasonable point. I want to catch up on the chat, and then we'll move on. We'll talk a little bit about Skaven.
Yeah?
You know, our resident Skaven player isn't here, though. He's in the chat rather than working. So what we might do is revisit Skaven with Liam, but we're going to have a quick chat about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it quickly.
We've got a couple of things. Jack's had good time to look through it. Yeah, sure, that'd be cool. And then I think we're going to have a look at the new start collecting boxes. A little bit of a chat. We've had a quick look at what you get in the box, and I'd like to hear you chaps' thoughts on whether it's a good box, bad box. Where does it stand? Is it a great place to start if you're starting those armies? I'm a little bit gutted. I've got 3,500 points of Idoneth Deepkin behind me, and it's only now they released the start collecting box. But there's another story. Okay. Let's just catch up. We have DJ the Lucky One saying meep meep, moop moop. It's all going off. The Bod 76 saying 07. Is that like oi? I think. Your friendly neighbourhood still says waiting patiently for the Skaven start collecting box. Well, that's the thing about start collecting boxes. They are sometimes long in coming, aren't they? But understandably so. They wait for an army to sort of slow down, don't they? And then they put one of these out. Excuse me. Amit says the Rockbringer start collecting box is what I have an eye on. Well, we're going to be talking about that soon. Bod76 says, well, you sort of have a start collecting for Skaven with the new starter set. Good point. It's great value, but of course, to do that, you do need someone to go halves with you, don't you? Which is actually what your friendly neighbourhood still says. He needs someone to go Dutch. So here we go. Anybody out there who wants to go halves with somebody on the Carry On Empire, then get in touch and we'll put you in touch with poor old friendly neighbourhood who's looking for someone to go halves with. Furious George says hi, Phil and Co. Sorry I'm late. Come on, Coleman.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just needed a beat, but yeah, go for it.
Just on the on the swapsies, just a reminder: if you go to our forum, maybe you are already registered, maybe you're not. You register for free. When we have a section where you can talk about swapping, selling, buying. So if you've got half of the big starter box you want to get rid of, that might be a good place to
bring and buy on the forum.
Yeah, to advertise.
Good one. Furious says, hi Phil, sorry I'm late. Talked about the Comma Star. Yeah, no, but we will be doing. And that's a salute. Ah, nice. I get it now. God, I'm so old school. Okay, right. I'll tell you what, before we go on to the Skaven box then, shall we chat a little bit around the new Start Collectings? Let's do that, and then we'll return to the Skaven. How about that for a Battletome finish? So, what have we got here? Great news, posted on the 17th. Pre-orders for next week. 2 new Start Collecting boxes. We have the Idoneth Deepkin and Maggotkin of Nurgle. Created a bit of buzz almost immediately. Incredible value for money. I think the starting collect box now are £60 in the UK. Is that correct? I've got a feeling they are, aren't they? But
the new ones are, and some of the refresh seem to be now listed as £60. When you go on the website, there are still some that are up 55, but they are going all up.
Yeah, that was the announced price increase on February 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and some of the starter boxes were pushed up a bit.
Paints are going up, and the start collecting.
Which is, you know, that's the way of the world. It'd be great if it wasn't, but it's the way it is. But of course, there are people who will sell this at, 20%, 15% off, etc. So you can get it a bit cheaper if you shop around. But, just looking at the Deepkin, I'm just having a quick look at how much these are going. You've got £30 of Achelian Guard in there.
30 for the Thralls.
Yeah, the Thralls are 30, so you're at 60 quid. So essentially 15. You're getting the character for free, aren't you, with this Start Collecting box? So not as big a bargain, if you like, as the past, but you are saving £15. You are getting £75 worth of miniatures for £60. So, and like I say, if you shop around, you can pick it up a bit cheaper as well. Then it's really starting to look like good value for money. The big question is well, go on, Coleman.
I think, monetary value, they're always better than buying all those kits separately.
Yes.
What I think there's a little bit of risk now that, especially now that those big collective factions are being built. If you look at the Nurgle, you've got a big, really wide range of models in that army, and the Start Collecting box is just not a great percentage of units that you're getting.
Yeah.
Well, for the Nurgle, it kind of depends on what army style you're going for. If you're going for a completely mortal Nurgle army, then that Maggotkin box is perfect, because of course you've also got the Start Collecting Nurgle demons as well. So it's kind of one of those. I think because that's pretty much all there is for mortal Nurgle is Blight Kings, Blight Lords, and the character, but of course there's the other characters, the Harbinger, the Lord of Plagues or whatever.
Sorry. There is another one for the demons, isn't there?
Yeah. I think you get like a Herald, 3 drones, 10 Plague Bearers. So.
But if we do a quick comparison again on what you're getting in the box, I mean, I have to say, the Blight Kings one, the Maggotkin, is looking like particularly good value, really. We've got the Puscoil Blight Lords at £40 for the unit. The character, I think, is around about £20. You might be able to get it for 15, is he? Is it 15 for the character? But the Blight Kings themselves are £33, so you're already up to £73.50 for that box, and then you are into plus the character, which Jackie's telling me
I'm saying 15,
but
can't find it right now. But and
there is a Start Collecting for demons up next. So I'll take it back.
Yeah.
The thing with the Nurgle start collecting is you add the Harbinger and you're pretty much at 1,000 points and you've got an army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem with like start collectings is they are kind of start collectings, because me as starting an army, like if I was to start Maggotkin, what I would want to do is buy like 5 start collecting boxes. But the problem is, you're then left with 5 characters, and I'm like, well, I only really want one of these characters. I want everything else in the box, but then I've got 4 extra characters. What do I do? Because that's pretty much how I did my Beastclaw Raider army. It was just like 3 start collecting boxes, and I've got 2,000 points.
I think the thing I was saying, though, is that's the difference for me between the Idoneth Deepkin. In terms of value for money, that's the difference between the Idoneth Deepkin and the Maggotkin.
Yeah.
Idoneth Deepkin, as soon as I've bought 2 of the boxes, I'm probably up to a maximum of how many soul renders I'm going to use.
Yes, yeah.
So any more boxes I buy beyond that, the soul render is at best conversion fodder.
Yeah.
At worst, getting stuck on eBay for next to nothing.
Yeah.
And in which case, then the
Am
contents,
I saving that much?
well, in which case the contents of my box is now £60 because the model I'm getting for free I no longer need. So the maximum I can buy of that box and feel like I'm gaining value out of it is 2 of them, and as soon as I'm into the 3rd, I might as well be buying the separate boxes. Whereas if you take the Maggotkin one, you're at £73 just with the Blight Lords and help me out here, the flappy dudes. They're both Blight Lords, aren't they?
Blight Kings and Blight Lords.
So you're at £73 just for those 2 units. So if you're paying, £60 for that, it doesn't matter if you're throwing away the character.
Yes, yeah, you're right there. And again, it was like with the Beastclaw Raiders, I was getting 4 Mournfang for like free.
Yeah, and can I just say, don't throw away that character, because I think he converts up as a Blight Lord anyway, a Blight King anyway.
A Lord of Plagues.
Because you just change some weaponry, get rid of the thing off his back. 2 is possibly one of the most beautiful models for conversion anyway. I'd like to give the guy a pair of wings and turn him into a little Demon Lord type dude. You could have so much fun with that, couldn't you, I think? But such a great looking model. Value for money, it feels like the Maggotkin peeps the post.
Yeah.
You guys?
That is assuming both. That's assuming that both of those start collecting boxes will be at the £60 price range. I have my doubts on the Idoneth Deepkin one.
It's a good point.
I think the Idoneth will be a little bit cheaper than that, because £5 saving compared to 15. That would be a first for the start. Ever since we've had the start collectors for Age of Sigmar, you've always looked at 20, 25, £30 for each and every single one of them.
You know what would be kind of nice if you could do a start collecting box which was more like a pick and pack. So you could choose, the Morsar, the Thralls, and a character of your choice.
Yeah, but
so you could get 4 of them. I know.
That would be nice, but again, then
never going to happen.
I'd love that.
They might as well just post that up on.
True. They might as well just say.
They might as well,
free models.
Yeah, just say, you know what? You're not buying them separately anymore. You can just do this, because if that was the case, when would you ever do anything else?
Never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Should we talk a little bit? This is where it gets a little bit more puzzling as well. Let's talk a little bit about what happens when you stick these boxes into War Scroll Builder. So I've taken the liberty. I keep hitting the wrong button, so everybody keeps getting tired of looking at those Battletome covers. Apologies. So here we have the Maggotkin. This is a Lord of Blights.
Yep.
The Putrid Blight Kings, 5 of them. And the Puscoil Blight Lords, 2 of them, of course. Because you mentioned, couldn't you? You could take one of those and turn it into a character.
It's a very weird thing for Games Workshop to do with Age of Sigmar. It's the same problem with the ghouls. So, like with the Puscoil Blight Lords, you get 2 models, and the Puscoil Blight Lords, when in game, they come in batches of 2. So you with Age of Sigmar, you can't have understrength. Well, you can have understrength units, but you have to pay for full units. So I have to take my Puscoil Blight Lords in blocks of 2. But you can build one of your Puscoil Blight Lords as a I can't remember what he's called, but the character version of a Puscoil Blight Lord is something called, like, does anybody know its name?
Give me 2 seconds.
Nope.
It's like a Lords of Affliction, that's it. Lords of Affliction. So you can change one of them to be a Lord of Affliction, and then you're left with one model. Now, you've got 2 options. You can build this model as another Lord of Affliction, or build it as a Pusgoyle Blight Lord and have it as an understrength unit, which you would never do because it's 220 points. You're wasting 110 points.
And the units come in 2s, don't they?
Yeah,
Now
and the
what you
units
do
come in
is
2s,
4,
yeah.
6,
So that's
8,
it. You now have 1 spec, and it's the same problem with ghouls. Now, you buy a box of, like, 10 ghouls, and if I want a Crypt Gas Courtier, I have to change one of my ghouls in that 10 to be a Crypt Ghast, which leaves me with 9 ghouls. Now, that used to be okay if you were running the Ghoul Patrol detachment, because you used to be able to bring back D6 ghouls and bring them over strength. So, say I started with 30, I could bring back on my first turn D6 and have 32. But they've got rid of that now, so it's like I'm wasting 9 ghouls. I'm buying a 20 quid box and wasting 9 models.
Yeah.
Because I need to build one as a character.
But, you know, this is the thing, is you've got conversion fodder, you can trade
You've got
with
conversion
people,
fodder, you've got, like, you know... You could
it just feels wasteful. I get your point. It feels wasteful, doesn't it? Let's come... Sorry, go on, Ralph.
I tend to disagree a little bit on that one, because you've got plenty of leader options within within the Maggotkin. I mean, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaders that are unconditional leaders. 8 leaders if you include the Harbinger of Decay. So from that point of view, and most of them are between 120 and 140 points. The only one that is more expensive is the Lord of Afflictions, which is of course at the same point, points-wise, costing-wise, as a unit of the Pusgoyle Blight Lords. So I wouldn't necessarily convert one of the units as a Lord of Affliction. I'd rather pick one of the other leaders and try to make the synergies work with those. And that way you've got full and complete units, because that was one of the big criticisms that GW always had to listen to with the start collecting boxes, that sometimes you couldn't get full units out of them.
Yeah, it's a good point, other than the unit exists.
Yeah, I was just meaning it as just a generic thing with that box of unit. Yeah, so if you buy the unit in a 2, then you've got the wasted one. But that being said, it is a plague drone, and you can do some very cool conversions with plague drones. Like, for instance, with like what we did for my Demon Prince, you know, creating winged Demon Princes from the carapaces of them and everything. So you do have options, because they are cool models and they are cool conversion models. Yep. But I still think it's a shame. That's the only thing. It wouldn't have been hard for them to blister pack him or do him separately.
Okay. That being said, we have we have the points value for this box then. Assuming we go for pretty much the standard makeup, you need 25 wounds in your start collecting box, coming in at 520 points. Not going to go too much into the detail, but essentially 140 for the Lord of Blights, 160 for the Blight Kings, 220 for the Pusgoyle Blight Lords. There are some alternate builds, I think you said, within this, but we'll not go into it for the sake of
that's
this.
the only thing with the character being able to...
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
So you got 520 points in the box, and if we were to look over at the equivalent for the Idoneth Deepkin, with the Soul Render in there, the Ishlan Guard and the Thralls, we're coming in at 380. 400 if you were to swap over to the not the Ishlan Guards but the Morsar Guard. But you know, Morsar Guards are, you know, relatively unpopular compared to the Ishlan Guards.
Yeah, they're cool. Character sniping, but that's a
cool
video in its own right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another story
I'm
around.
I'm surprised that there's more wounds in the Idoneth than there is the...
True, we're coming in at 32 wounds, but that's not...
I don't know how.
A lot of that is coming out of the Ishlan Guard,
you
isn't it?
can't have that as 32.
That's
22. That's 27.
22. So that's not adding.
Oh, that's extra command points.
Oh, of course, it's command
silly.
points. We'll take that back. That's not wounds. That command.
So
points.
what do you get? You get 27 wounds
27
with the Idoneth
wounds
Deepkin.
against. What have we got here? 7, 20, 14.
41.
So. Wow.
But if there's one thing Nurgle can do, it's have wounds.
Yeah.
Can I just add, Callum 27, he commented that the Idoneth box is going to be £55 and Maggotkin 60, as apparently those prices were leaked when the price increase was announced back in January.
Ah, of course it was.
Oh,
yes.
of course. Yes, yeah. There's a bit of leak knowledge for you.
Wow,
Very useful. Thanks, Callum.
That's great then. I mean, what, you're getting something like 20 quid on
It's £20, yeah. So even if you were to buy the start, put the soul render to one side. I mean, I've actually converted I've got 2 soul renders in my list. I've converted one of them just for an alternate pose. Yeah. It wasn't a tricky conversion either. It was just swapping the arms around. I might talk a little bit about that later. But, right. What else can we talk about those? Effectiveness of the Idoneth Deepkin we didn't really talk about. They're just pretty solid, to be honest. I actually wouldn't mind. Okay, it's only 320 points. But actually, is putting some models down on the table. That's a nice little box set. 2 boxes, it's an absolute winner. I'd happily go with 2 boxes with 2 of the soul renders.
Yeah,
6 of the guard, 2 units of thralls.
It would be interesting to pitch start collecting boxes up against each other.
But you could definitely do that, say, if I was to just do this.
I mean, how
Coleman,
would
can you give us a beat, please?
I thought I was muted. Sorry.
It's okay. Cool.
I mean, how would you improve that to a 1,000?
Well, this is what I'm just thinking. If I was to stick on another unit of the Ishling Guard, if I was to stick on another 10, there's 2 start collecting boxes.
Another 10 thralls.
Stick that in there, and then what I would probably do at 660 is probably put in the Nethelian King.
And you would have the other soul render.
Yeah, well, of course you'd have an extra soul render as well. So we're hitting
1,000 points on the dot. So that's 2 start collecting boxes and a king. Which is a very efficient army there.
I think the king is coming in at a pretty decent price as well for the leaders, if I remember right. So if I was to just go
it's a lot smaller than you think.
So you're looking at £110 for the 2 start collecting boxes. Stick the king on top as well, which I can't quite remember.
I think it's about 20, 25,
something like that. I think it is 25 points. So that's not a bad 1,000-point army. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, Maggotkin wise, what would you do? You would probably add another start collecting. I don't know. Maybe not, because I don't think you would have the reason for another Lord of Blights.
Yeah.
You would definitely add more. What are they called? Blight Lords, Blight Kings, because.
Hold on a second. Whoever's typing, can you mute, please, dudes? Because it's really loud keyboard. Thank y'all. Super. Thanks, guys. Right. Sorry, you were saying. Sorry, that was really loud in my ear, so I'm assuming it's loud on the chat.
I was just saying.
Sorry, that was me.
No worries.
For improving up to 1,000 points on the Maggotkin.
Oh, the Maggotkin. How would we go about getting that to 1,000 points?
I mean, I would add another unit of Putrid Blight Lords.
So if we were to do that, and we would stick in, well, you go into 4 of those. You can't really do the second Lord of Blight, can you?
No, you won't. How much?
Well, where are we at with that? We're 900 points anyway. So what you would probably do is find something like one of the. I'm not sure you would actually. You'd just probably take the command point after that, wouldn't you?
The command points aren't useful with Maggotkin unless you've got a Harbinger.
Even so, I think what we're talking about. Thank you, Coleman. I think what we're talking about is 2 box sets of 2 start collecting of both of those factions gets you damn near 1,000 points.
Yeah.
The inclusion of an Nethelian King into the Idoneth, I think, makes that a really interesting 1,000-point army. I'd be happy to play those. The Blight King I know less of, and like you say, it's the leadership that raises questions over that.
Yeah.
Of what you would do around that as a model to buy into that. I'm trying to have a look at what you've got around that. You could stick some Nurglings in at 100 points.
Plague Bearers.
Plague Bearers, maybe. You're going over to the demon side, aren't you? But why not?
Yeah. The only problem is if you're looking at price range for the Maggotkin, is of course you then have to add the Feculent Gnarlmaws.
Yeah.
Because you can't play the army without
True.
normals.
You are going to have to stick a couple of at least one normal in there for.
You start with one, and then you can summon more.
Good point.
So.
All right.
But it still saves a lot of money, £60, and we figured out the bugs and the kings alone are £73.
So Coleman, Ralph.
Yeah.
Start collecting box. What's the box you want to see? We'll start with you, Coleman.
KO needs a revised box because this doesn't make any sense.
What was in the Karajan Overlord box? If I remember right, it was an extremely unpopular.
So you get the Gunhauler, the Endrin Master, 5 Thunderers, and 3 Skywardens, and none of it makes any sense when you build the army.
Yeah.
Considering that the only playable units when you build, ground up, are Arcanauts with Chemist. And I believe that's the only start collecting box which doesn't give you any battle line units.
Yeah, it was a strange old box, wasn't it? Which felt like it was designed around shifting the models they didn't sell that much of.
It was a good supplement to the Battle Force box, which now obviously is gone. But even there, you only had one unit of 10 Arcanauts in that big box.
True.
Which again, for let's not go there. Waste of time.
Go on, Ralph. Oh, sorry, go on, Jack. You were about.
I was going to say another thing to add to that is like talking about how it's a good supplement, but that's not really an argument for it because this thing is branded as a start collecting box. This is meant to be where you start collecting your army. And when you buy this box and there's not even a battle line in there.
Well, that's why I said, as a start collecting box, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I think maybe what they could do is remove the Thunderers and put in 10 Arcanauts instead.
And replace the
Endrin Master. Yeah, because but the Endrin Master's still a leader, isn't it?
Well, he is, but he doesn't do much. He's got. He is useful when he's on the ship because then he can heal the wounds on the ship. But obviously, he can't be put on the Gunhauler.
Yeah, so I see what you mean.
He can still do it within 1 inch, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there.
The thing is, I think they should update all those. You've asked me which ones I would like to see. I think they should update all the starter boxes that are out there, where you haven't got full battle lines in there, and there is a few out there where you need to buy extra units to have full battle line units. So extra models to have a full battle line unit. So I think that's the ones that they should do. And of course, as I'm a Stormcast player, I would like to see a new edition of the Stormcast starter box.
So what do you want in the starter box?
I would love to see in the starter box enough models to make the Soul Wars box full units. So if you buy the starter box plus the Soul Wars, you've got full units there. So
that's an interesting idea, Ralph. Somewhat radical.
Maybe they should start a line of supplement boxes.
Because I know with the old Stormcast start collecting as well, you only got 3 Retributors, didn't you? Which,
exactly.
Again, is not a full unit. But I don't know, was that before the time of matched play?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It predated match, didn't it?
So it predated match play, so that rule wasn't even around then. But yeah, I definitely think they need to go back and revisit it.
I want to spend just a couple of minutes catching up on the chat before we move on. And by the way, we're in... I don't know about you two guys. We normally finish around 10 o'clock. Jack's still on New York time, so for him it's about the middle of the day right now. So you can tell because he's just revving away like crazy. Yeah.
What time is it?
10 o'clock. Coming up.
Oh,
to 10
yeah,
o'clock.
so it's like 5 in the afternoon.
Yeah, he's just getting ready for some food about now. So we could probably push on a few minutes more as well if you guys are up for it. If not, you can dial out and we'll push on, I think, for a bit. But I just want to catch up a little bit on the chat because we've got a bunch of stuff going off on here. We have got some rather here we go. Furious George saying sorry, don't apologise. And no, I haven't covered the Commissar. Sorry, I'm back to where we started. Extra characters can be traded, coming from Al Kirkham. Absolutely agree. I personally prefer to have convert fodder, as I call it. So, you know, if you take all the stuff I've built up from... put it this way, I've got a whole bunch of magma drops dying for conversion. Or what I'm waiting for is the Fire Slayer Battletome where magma drops are viable again. And I want a kingly court of magma drops. I want the the Rune King, the Rune Lord, the Rune Father, and I want an option to take 4 Rune Sons. Because Games Workshop surely realise that every single Fire Slayer player has got at least 4 spare magma drops on their shelf right now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
imagine if you could run them as a unit of 5.
I know, yeah.
What they did with like flesh eaters and Taken's battle line or something.
Yeah, with a points discount on the last one, like 40 points, you just get an extra magma drop. I'd be really, really happy right now if that could happen.
Pure filth.
I know there's a few Games Workshop people tune in every now and then, so pass that to the powers that be, will you?
Obviously, you will have to play on a board without any terrain, but.
Why? No, it's not that big.
You'll have to like conga line snake them through everything.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what...
And you just run them off the table that way, Jack.
True.
Oh, I think it'd look fantastic. How impressive would it look? In fact, that's a game we're playing. I'm bringing
magma drops.
Yeah, I'm just bringing magma drops. I know.
I'll bring just dragons.
Yeah, under the current rules, I'll die in seconds. But there you go. Anyway, moving on. Idoneth, we've got that one covered. Furious George says, any non-UK people worried about Brexit business jumping up the prices of their plastic crike? We've already massively overcharged down here in New Zealand. Okay, 2 things to say on this before Ralph starts. Because and the first thing I want to say is, Ralph, don't start. So I've spent the week, for those of you who tune into the Facebook channel, it's the Facebook group, you may have seen me post a couple of bits up about being at Ralph's. I stayed last week with Ralph. One thing I want to say publicly, Ralph is an incredible host. So if you ever want to visit the south of France, what would it be? The Savoie, isn't it? It's not really south of France, is it? So there you go. Honestly, the best person to stay with, and his family's absolutely delightful, and myself and my wife had an absolute brilliant time there. So thank you very much, Ralph, for doing that. It was great. We had a game. It's the game that shall never be discussed, as we've agreed.
Thank you.
That's all right, but just remember you owe me. And it was absolutely amazing. But one thing that we did talk about probably a little bit too much, which is not surprising because you put English, French, German people in a room, the conversation ultimately is going to be about Brexit. So I am not going to talk about Brexit on the channel, other than to address the question. 1, it's disgraceful that you have to pay so much down in New Zealand. Why haven't we just simply done a tunnel through the core of the earth to make delivery to New Zealand quicker and easier? It befuddles me. We really need to get people onto that. 2, in terms of the Brexit stuff, who knows right now? It is so random and chaos. I'm sure for you non-UK people, it's a concern. It's a concern for us UK people. Nobody has any real answer, and that's the problem right now. None of us really know what's going to happen. Myself and Ralph have got a €10 bet. Now, this is the trick. If this country goes to hell, then that €10 is going to be worth an absolute fortune. So I may have to sell my house to pay Ralph the bet. But what I've done is taken a €10 note and put it in an envelope. So it's like an insurance bill, just in case. But so we don't know. We don't know. And hopefully Games Workshop have devised at least some kind of strategy. Maybe that way, if things were to go absolutely terrible, surely they will act to protect their international market in some way. So whether that would be moving manufacturing or a base of operations abroad into Europe, who knows? But we'll just have to watch that space.
Well, they're extending their manufacturing sites in the US.
There you go. So there you go. So there's light at the end of the plastic crack tunnel. What else have we got going off? Bod76 says he's worried about trade taxes. It's not a great time for international trade right now. I acknowledge that. So I am willing to start up a model smuggling business. So traveling backwards and forwards. If you want me to come to New Zealand with a suitcase full of plastic, I'm your man. I'm willing to do that. What else have we got? DJ the Lucky One says the start collecting so variable both in terms of monetary and tabletop value. The Karajan one is worth £95 for 60 quid, for instance, but I'm not sure I'll get it. I think, Coleman, you've given your thoughts on that, so thank you very much for that. Amit, let's not argue, let's all just admit that the Dreadsaurian is the best model both looks and rules wise in the whole of Age of Sigmar. Why would we even argue that at all? 12 Neef says Fire Slayers get great value, Seraphon always get the best value. Oh, true, excuse me, I'm not on American time, so I'm getting a little bit tired. Right, okay,
still in French time.
Ralph launched into Brexit debate in the chat, so I'm certainly not going to cover all of that anyway. 12 Neef says, a bit variable, Deepkin, you get a free character and Karajan unit and a character. So, yeah, I get what you mean. Some of them are better than others, for out a doubt. 3 Glicks, greetings from Germany. Love your channel. Well, thank you very much. I was going to say Danka. How did I do, Ralph?
Pretty well.
I was going to go with Dankerval, but that's like, that's Dutch.
That's Dutch. Yeah, don't do that to a German.
Just go with Danker, yeah? Just go with Danker.
Just go Danker.
Okay, excellent. Ralph's been teaching me the words of Europe, and I feel confident now that I can probably speak... from now on my resume, I'm going to put I can speak 4 or 5 languages.
As long as you can translate your stratagems for your cheese stealer cultists.
Cheese stealer cults. We've not talked about the cheese stealer cult so far, but maybe we should cover that. In a cheese sweat recovery mode from eating far too much cheese at Ralph's place, I came up with the idea of a gene stealer cult that were essentially cheese producers. And they put the gene seed into the cheese, and therefore anybody who ate their fine blue cheese, well, it was a purple cheese, their fine purple cheese would convert to the cheese stealer cult. And I was talking about all of the equipment having big round blocks of cheese on the back. You know, it'd look amazing, wouldn't it? You know,
we pictured it. It was nice.
Yeah. You know, a whole terrain piece which was just racks of cheese aging in caves and stuff. Anyway, moving on. With of course the Gene Stealer stamp on top of the cheese block, because that's what you'd need, wouldn't it? Yeah, slight off there. Big Rich says hi all. New Zealand needs a teleport system, bless them. I always love it, by the way. New Zealand, I've just learned of your plight, that you don't appear on maps, so that's terrible, and that needs correcting as well. So I am joining the campaign to get New Zealand back on the map. So have you heard about this? IKEA did a world map and forgot to put New Zealand on, just as they opened a store in New Zealand. So and apparently that happens all over the place as well. So let's get New Zealand back on. There is a hashtag and everything. Go on.
It's not what it was. The printer was colorblind, and he put New Zealand because the new store is blue in the middle of the sea. So blue on blue just
disappeared. So yes, let's get New Zealand back on the map anyway. Hashtag. I think the hashtag is back on the map or something, or New Zealand on the map. Anyway, check it out. It's worth checking out and worth supporting them. That's more like Middle Earth. Welcome to Mordor. DJ the Lucky One. Phil is double weight of plastic crack. There you go. Cheese stealer cult's kicked off now, so let's not go there. Why did we mention it, Ralph? This is what happens when you invent stuff. When you've eaten too much cheese. We get Amit
commenting.
Yeah. Amit joins in.
This is what happens when you let Amit out of the cage.
This is the last thing you ever want on a chat ever. I'd say
Sick
a bad
bullshit.
internet connection and a crackly mic over Anna joining in. Bluffer says, still, GW didn't add a box of 20 giant rat boxes to buy. What did... No, that's so sad. Hey guys, says Bluffer, and IKEA did what? How did I miss that, lol, says CM. Well, you need to check it out. It's all over the news. Maybe they just forgot to put it on the news in New Zealand, which would... There's some irony in that, if that was the case. And unlike Alanis Morissette, I do at least understand the premise of what irony is. This show has gone to hell. Right.
Yeah, it just went down the tube. Straight down.
Jack, let's talk about Skaven. Before Are you guys okay for another 10 minutes or so? How's that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Free range gene stealers. It's all kicking off in the chat. We'll let them enjoy the cheese stealer cult joke for a bit, and you want to talk about Skaven for a bit? Winners, losers in Skaven. Do you know enough about them?
I do. I've seen some things. So there's quite a few changes. I mean, there's a lot of wins, but if people didn't know, the old way of playing Skaven, at least from my knowledge, was Clan Skyer, and you did Storm Fiends and lots and lots of Rattling Gunners and Warpfire Throwers, the weapon teams, like the 2 rats with the guns and Warplock Giselles and all this, and that used to be like how you would run Skaven competitively, at least from my knowledge. Personally, I think that's changed now. I think it's all about what it should be always. Great hordes of rats, units of 40 clan rats, 40 storm vermin with like 6 lords at the back, all telling them to go forwards, all using Nashnor on their bones to give them +1 attack. Because if you don't know, with Skaven now, if you have 20 or more, you get +1 to hit. If you have 30 or more, you get +1 to wound. Which is really good. But one of the downsides to this is there has been some changes. So Storm Vermin used to get their outnumbered ability. So if they outnumbered you, they got +1 attack. That's now been removed for the Legion-wide rule, the battalion strength, the swarm rule. Some other things that have changed. Skyer's got a lot of hits in the face, I would say. Storm Vermin now, you can't have optimized Storm Vermin units. You can't have like a unit of 3 Warpfire Throwers, a unit of 3 Rattling Guns, a unit of 3 Doomflayer Fists, for example. You have to have either, I can't remember the combination, but it's a shooting weapon or a melee weapon.
Do you mean Storm Fiends? Or
Storm Fiends.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So it's like you can only take a Warpfire Thrower or a Doomflayer Fist for 1 in every 3 models.
The way they put it is no model can have, up to a third of the unit can have this weapon.
Yeah.
So essentially what they're trying to get you to do is to do 1 of each build out the box every time you put a unit on the table.
Which is what the box includes.
Yeah, I like it.
It's good for me. I don't, because you can't have like an entire unit of melee weapons now. You can't have like all of them with shot gauntlets or you can have entire melee weapons, but you can't have them all with like shock fists or doomflayer gauntlets, all like optimized for one thing, or a unit of 3 Warpfire Throwers that are really about getting close, using digging teams or the holes to get really close and just release Warpfire and almost be a one-trick pony. Now you can only have 1 of them for every 3. So if I wanted to have a shooting unit of Storm Fiends, I would have to take 1 Warpfire, 1 Rattling, 1 Wind Launcher, which is just... It's annoying more than anything, because I kind of liked the whole... People used to run them with 1 melee, 2 shooting. So you would have like 1 Doomflayer, 2 Rattling Guns, 1 Shot Gauntlet, 2 Warpfire Throwers. But, like, people will probably find out how to make it work. They'll probably be like, melee, Rattling Gun, Warpfire Thrower.
You find it annoying, but I'm dreading the moment that kind of change comes to Arcanauts.
Yes.
I think that's the direction we're going. Considering that
it happened to the Thunderers, didn't it? But
at least the Thunderers that was a little bit different style with the Arcanauts. You know, from the very beginning, you have a war scroll that doesn't match the sprues, and they will dial down the war scroll to match the sprues.
Yeah. So it is annoying. Other things that have changed, all the weapon teams, like the warp fire thrower, they all had their more ability. So like more hot warp lead for the rattling gun, more warp fire for the flamethrower. And now what this used to be is you would roll the dice, and on a 1, you would take D3 mortal wounds, which wasn't the end of the world because they were normally 2 to 3 wounds. So it wasn't necessarily you were going to die. But then what would happen is normally you doubled their effectiveness. So rattling guns went from 2d6 to 4d6. Warp fire throwers went from d6 to 2d6 mortal wounds. But now, on a roll of a 1, you die.
Oh.
Which is annoying because it's... Am I really going to risk this unit just to get that? Which I know it's what Skaven are meant to be, isn't it? It's Skaven tech. You use Skaven tech and you're going to blow up. They're a bit like orcs, or 40k orcs like that. Their tech
fluffy.
isn't the most reliable. Yeah, it's fluffy. But it's kind of like... It adds that extra factor of being fearful with them when they're not survivable already and they're 60 points.
But it's not necessarily fun anymore.
Yes, yeah. So you kind of got that, alright, so I'm going to use more hot warp fire, roll the dice, and on the 1, oh no, I could die, what's going to happen? And then you would die and be like, well, I had a 1 in 3 chance of dying. Or I take some wounds, but now it's just, now I'm dead.
But those mechanics, as we know, are designed to speed the game more than anything, aren't they?
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, I suppose. But I there's definitely been a shift from let's play Skyer to now let's play Verminous.
One thing I noticed, interestingly enough, Storm Fiends, of course, you talked about the meta has moved to big packs. It is, with one exception, I think. Storm Fiends again. If you take Thanquol.
Yep.
Thanquol has the keyword Masterclan.
Yep.
And if I remember rightly, Storm Fiends not only become Battle Line for Clan Skyer, but they also become Battle Line if your general is Masterclan. So you can take Thanquol and Storm Fiends as your Battle Line.
If you want to do that kind of big rat army.
Yeah, if you want to do the big rat army, the option's in there, and it's no longer just limited to the Clan Skyer kind of thing, because there was a way of doing it within Clan Skyer. You can take Thanquol. Yeah. That makes them Battle Line, and you can still do the other stuff around them because you're falling under the kind of Master Clan stuff rather than the broken down clan.
The only thing is, I don't see it being as competitive as Verminous, because Verminous have some interesting stuff. I mean, they have up to... So Verminous, if you don't know, Verminous are kind of the baseline rats. You've got your warlords, your clan rats, and what the big guys, the storm vermin, I think they're called.
Vermin,
probably, yeah. So, and what Verminous do is up to 6 of your leaders can now take artifacts.
Wow.
So six claw lords now have artifacts, so you can take a lot of artifacts with this army. I mean, I know claw lords are clan Verminous. I don't know if priests are clan Verminous. Can you look at that the
Just
other
looking
way?
At priests, yeah. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they are. Plague priests won't be. They're not, because they're... No, keep going. I'm on about kind of like...
Well, is that an exception to the rule? Because I always thought that you could only take 1 artifact per army. General,
it's an exception to the rule. It now said the rule says you can take up to 6 artifacts, even not on your general.
Wow.
Okay.
Let's just catch up a little bit in the chat, because there's a couple of things there. Bluffer saying hey. Johnny Rockstar, international issues and scathing criticism of Canadian pop stars. It's all here on WGO. When did we criticise a Canadian pop star? Did I miss that?
You did.
Irony.
You did. You had a go at Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette.
You know what? I thought she was American.
That was irony.
It wasn't Skaven criticism. It was just a statement of fact. Right, anyway, moving on. Frank Storm, by the way, I've been told by GW, Carry On Empire is out of production. By the way, I love Carry On Empire, and I like the idea of doing the Carry On Empire as, a no longer PC 60s comedy show where they're all wandering around in their underwear going, "Ooh, Vicar." But yeah, that's another side story.
Imagine doing a Flesh Eater Chords army themed
Carry
Carry On.
You need like an ice cream van or something just in the middle of it for some inexplicable reason. I don't know why. Ice cream van at the seaside. And Ralph goes on to say, of course, yes, they do limited runs on those box sets. I'm not surprised it's already out of stock because it represented a hell of a lot of value. And I think bit of a win-win. There was a lot of Skaven in there in terms of value, and of course there was this fantastic new character for all frustrated Flesh Eater cult players out there who wanted someone who could actually really kick face, and that model is amazing. Bluffer says, Clan Molder for the win. Vermin Lord, Molder 1, maybe 1 Pestilence Priest for just for prayers, maybe 2 Rat Ogres, buff them with clan buff, or 320, give or take, giant rats. The giant rats reach now. Nasty, nasty. Liam says, Warpseer Vermin Lord, defiantly a winner, or definitely a winner. I'm going to go with definitely. And Amit's coming with, ooh, Matron. So the slightest mention of Carry On, and Amit's back in the chat. Okay. He's going to kill me for that, isn't he? Right, I think it's 10 past 10, folks. Maybe
we haven't talked about Severin.
We haven't talked about what?
Severin.
Ah! Oh my goodness! Yeah, come on, we can't not, can we? Let's just quickly go to this. No, let's not go to my desk. Oh, what have we got to say about the new Commissar?
She's beautiful.
It's just a stunning model.
Absolutely gorgeous model.
Amazing. It's not often you kind of hit a model and you just go, yep, lost for words. I say it's not often. It's happening more and more often nowadays, isn't it? The Blackstone Fortress. A whole bunch of models inside Blackstone Fortress. The stuff that was shown at the New York Toy Fair. The new Rogue Trader and all the rest. The stunning models that are coming out, but this one for me just does, it hits everything. It hits every spot. I love the little personal trinkets, the pocket watch hanging off the belt, the purity seal, sort of nice long flowing purity seal. What a dynamic pose. Did you talk
about the belt buckle?
The belt buckle.
Mini skull as a belt buckle.
Yeah, how big is that?
About 0.5 millimeter.
You know what that's going to be if I ever get that model? That's just going to be a white blob.
Same here.
Get my nice thickest white paint and just...
I've watched and it'll work out.
It's incredible. If you're out there and you haven't seen the interview with both the conceptual, I'm going to describe. I think she's either an author. Yes, she may have been an author who wrote the story about the Commissar, and the designer who designed the model based on the book. It's a fantastic short video by Games Workshop. I think it's even linked. Might not be linked on this page. It's back on the community section. So if I go back to that, there we go. We got the Black Library Celebration, and on here we've got Honor Bound, which is by Rachel Harrison. I've not heard of Rachel Harrison before. Ralph, you tend to know the authors a little bit more than me. She wrote for Games Workshop before.
I think she's one of the new authors that literally came in. And if I'm not totally mistaken, she's one of she was in the background writing team at the studio, and I think she'd done a new novel that is going to come out, or has come out in the UK.
Honor Bound is the new novel. Actually, there's a little bit under here, actually, where it does say she has been working on short stories over the last year or so. Introduces the new Commissar, Savina. Severa Rain, and her Soldiers of Long Form Fiction. So, this is her first, I think, full-length novel by the looks of it.
Possibly.
There is an awesome video where there's an introduction to the character, and you get to hear from the author herself and the model designer as well. But just stunning work. I can't describe it. It's got everything right about it. They've resisted the temptation to overly sort of feminize the model. Yeah. She's a working commissar, hard as nails. The face is incredible. That really stern feature. Looks like a great model to paint. Great work.
That's a 20-hour model. Minimum.
Yeah, you want to spend plenty of time. Just getting that breastplate right is just, there's so much detail on this. If you actually look into how fine that details get, some of the rib marks on the kind of edge of the breastplate. Yeah. So we've got her stats to have a quick look at. Jack, maybe you want to jump in here.
Ugh.
6-inch move, 3/3, fairly standard spec. But what have we got? We've got the Pennant and Evenfall, and only one model in your army.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover what we're
Pennant is a -1 AP bolt pistol, so kind of like what you expect. The stat line's very basic for a commissar. -1 rend.
The Aura
Sword.
of Discipline is standard, isn't it? I think in terms of ability.
Yes, or Summary Execution standard.
So she's...
Oh, that's quite good.
Does she come with kill team rules?
Coming in, no, but God, I hope she gets kill team rules.
Yeah.
She has to, surely.
I think you can take commissars and kill teams, so
yeah,
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Just as is she coming across more or less? I'm looking at this.
Standard.
Automatically past Moraltus. This is a standard commissar model then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine.
She's got a different gun, but apart from that,
course, the Pennant's pistol. So and the Evenfall and the -1 AP as well with the sword. Thinking about it. So a little bit. She's got basically, I think, what in the old school worlds we used to describe as the weapons, the mastercrafted weapons, basically.
Yes, she's mastercrafted.
These family heirloom weapons, which I think is, again, inferred in the
I think that's what
interview.
mastercrafted gives you as well, is that -1 AP on bolters and stuff. So.
Okay then. So that's essentially what we're looking at. Coleman, I know you're not a 40k player, but is she too tall for you to be interested?
I don't like that hat.
It's a mid-ground, the hat, isn't it? Because I think the commissar model that was released in plastic, that hat's huge, isn't it? That's ginormous.
You could sail down a river on that hat.
I've got that model though.
Noah would use that hat.
I've converted. I think I've converted that model as a Gene Stealer cult, haven't I?
You've got rid of the hat. I think.
Did I lose the hat?
Probably.
Possibly.
You see the whole hat aesthetic is because they're built on commissars from the Russian Soviet army.
Yeah.
Well,
the blood armies before.
You see, I remember, a lot of Soviet army presence, and we actually used to call the hats of the officers the aircraft carriers.
The aircraft carriers. There you go.
You could possibly land a helicopter on it at least.
Still, whether you love or loathe the hat, what an amazing model. Absolutely in love with it.
It is.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of people correcting us, which is what's lovely about this chat. Rachel Harrison is George Harrison's wife. Thanks, Amit, for heaven's sakes. You almost made me swear for the first time.
Just typed out the exclamation marks.
I was this close, Amit, this close. The new model looks great. Saw them at the show yesterday. Nice one, Frank. Which show would that be? Is that the New York show? That would be the New York show. So you could have met Frank. Wait, hold on a second.
I was on the plane at that point.
Yeah, okay then.
I think I'm still a bit confused about my time zones.
I'm not. Yeah. Okay then. I'm not sure we are talking about the New York one. Maybe we were. The model is a Goldilocks model. Not too much detail, not too little, just right. Oh, nice one, Amit.
That's actually a nice comment from Amit.
DJ says she does indeed have kill team rules in February White Dwarf. What?
Say what?
What?
She
probably
those.
has. Wow. I am so going to buy that model. Standard rules or special rules for her. Oh, he's already onto it. Right. She's too tall for Coleman and there's no beard, so he's not going to be interested. She's named, not sure how special she is. Just happy they weren't SJW Warhammer out. I don't understand that. Right. Okay.
You're getting too old.
I don't. You
don't understand the references.
Page 140. Hang on a minute. I'm going to get it. Page 140. Thanks, DJ, the lucky one.
Ralph's off to fetch. I'm going to say goodbye while Ralph's.
He can come back and it'll just be black screens.
Just end the show. Ralph, have you got anything more to say? No? Okay, well, we're going to say goodnight to everyone. We'll say goodnight at that. And yeah. He's back now.
Well, we're finished.
Yeah,
So
Ralph, we're done.
He's gone for his kill team rules now. He loves his kill team. Is it in there, Ralph?
Page 140. Well, forget it. I picked up January's copy. Forget it.
He picked up January's.
Right, we're gonna call it a night, folks. Let's say goodnight to
it's half. It's 11:30 where I am.
It is. It's late for Ralph, so let's call it a night.
Yeah, but you're going to be painting for another 2 hours anyway.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, but that's different.
She's a commander. I don't know if there's a commissar for guard.
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
You can have commissars and lord commissars.
No, I don't know whether he means in kill team though, because he's talking about.
Oh, she would be a commander.
Yes,
sense.
of course. The commissar would be a commander, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Sense. Yeah. Good point. Okay, right. Let's call it a night, folks. Thank you very much for joining me. Coleman, do you want to give us one more beep?
Beep.
No, thank you very much for coming along tonight. As random and chaotic as it is, I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks to everybody on the chat. It's really nice to see some old and new faces. I just want to give a quick shout out if I can find it again now. So there was 3 Glicks coming in from Germany. So thank you very much. I think I've not seen you before, so good for joining us. And we'll hopefully see you again some weeks in the future. And that's probably it for tonight. I think we can say goodnight and get on with the rest of our hobbying. I've got this guy to finish off. My lovely little Gene Stealer doll dude.
Right.
Which I am
Everybody hold up their models to finish
Can
tonight.
I get that?
Oh.
There you go. Look, there you
I've
go.
got-
There we go.
So it's
I've got
terrible
hangers.
lighting though, so I'm not even gonna. We'll put some pictures up on the Facebook group. You can see what we're all working on at the moment.
I'm getting told off by Dad from moving from project to project.
Oh, let's not get started. Good night, all.
Butterfly.
Thank you very much for joining
Bye.
us.
Night.
We'll see you again next week. Bye.